time. It is 8:08 right now on your clock, 37 outside. Hey, Tuesday is election day. I know everybody is talking about Halloween, but election day is coming up. That's, pretty important. And I have an interview, a special guest with us today. Leslie Danks Burke, she is running for the 58th District against Tom O'Mara. How are you doing today, Leslie?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yes, thank you for coming. You've been running basically on, one of your big issues is property tax reform. And there's some recent news. You had a bipartisan group of municipal officials endorse you. And these were 7 different elected officials, both Republicans and Democrats. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. What we're seeing all across upstate New York, and especially in our region, is that our municipalities get shortchanged, and that's because our elected officials simply don't show up for us. So these local leaders who are in there working every single day as hard as they can to make ends meet, fill the potholes, make sure there's sidewalks for our kids to walk to school on, they see that the folks in Albany are shortchanging us. They're charging us our property taxes to fix these problems and then not getting the support back to our municipalities. So these leaders from across the political spectrum are standing with me to get our fair share.
And this is your second time running for state senate against O'Mara. So property taxes, that's one of your main issues, I know. What other reforms is on your platform that is most important people should know about?
Yeah, so it is very expensive to live here, and our young people grow up and leave because they can't find a bright future here. And just take the property tax piece, our taxes are through the roof, and yet we don't get that money back here for our schools, for our rural hospitals. We see now in the COVID pandemic that all of this lack of investment for years and years is really catching up with us. Our rural hospitals are struggling. Our students are having to do online school from home, even though there's no rural broadband in some places. So what I'm calling for is all those very high taxes that we're paying, start getting that money back here to fix these problems that are decades old for us.
So you've been on the campaign trail, and you've probably heard, a lot of people be very jaded, I guess, about Albany, and they think it is a partisan problem. They think it's a Democrat versus a Republican problem. What do you have to say in response to that?
I don't think the divide in New York State is Democrat versus Republican or upstate versus downstate. What it is most of us who are doing the working and the paying of taxes and the taking care of our children, we're getting shortchanged because we're having to subsidize the folks at the tippity top who don't pay their fair share. And that is the New York City billionaires who get off scot-free, don't have to pay the same taxes that the rest of us pay. That's the real divide in New York, and you can see it in the money in politics. The people who donate to campaigns on both sides of the aisle, the Republicans and the Democrats, they are the folks who are making so much money off of our lack of internet, off of our underfunded schools, off of our healthcare exorbitant prices. We've got to start standing up to these folks who are taking our tax dollars and using it for their own profit.
So Election day is Tuesday. If there are any people that are undecided out here in our 58th district, not sure who they're voting for yet, what would you say to them to convince them to have your vote?
I'm running against a guy who's been there for 16 years in Albany. And I say, take a look around you and see if we can keep on making the same choices and expecting things to change. He's been there for 16 years. He hasn't delivered. Let me at it, because it's about time we all band together and demand our fair share and get a real seat at the table.
Leslie Danks Burke, candidate for the 58th State Senate District, running against Tom O'Mara. Thank you, Leslie. Did you vote yet? I got to ask, because that's the question. We've got less than, 4 or 5 days until Election Day. You voted, right?
I did. I went and voted early. I stood in the rain for an hour in line. I got to tell you, seeing people from all political persuasions standing there together, ready to exercise our civic responsibility to hold our elected leaders accountable, that sure gives me faith in America.
Any events leading up to Election Day that we can catch you at if anybody's interested?
We are going to be doing one phone bank after another in my campaign office in Watkins Glen. I'm going to be out traveling all through the district. We're doing literature drops in lots of different towns and cities and villages all across the 5 counties. Get in touch with us. We'd love to have your help. We'd love to have you on board because this is when a campaign really gets exciting.
All right, Leslie Danks Burke is in. You have a website people can go on if they want more information about participating in that event, right?
LeslieForSenate.com, all spelled out, LeslieFor Senate.com. We'd love to have you join us.
All right, Leslie Danks Burke, candidate, the Democratic nominee for the 58th State Senate race. I wanted to thank you for taking the time and come on our show and let people know what's going on.
Thank you for having me. Get out there and vote.